Hey everybody, it's the IronTrap podcast.
What's up, guys?
With your favorite knuckleheads, Matt and
Yes.
Mike. We are doing this week is a visual podcast, so we always start that off. We have to remind everybody because social media, everyone forgets because a lot's getting thrown at you. So we do podcasts every week, but every other week is visuals. So this week, if you are listening to this, you can go to YouTube and we have some clips. This time will be some clips from an old video. And so that's what's going on for that stuff. We always do our housekeeping, new news, anything going on.
Trying to think. We're still in the winter, so we don't really have anything on the calendar coming up besides the normal spring swap meets.
Local ones, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything. We have that Model A pickup for sale. Put it in the last podcast and the last week in the life of, but we have a late 31 Model A pickup. It's got a full steel roof. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a rare pickup truck, has a wide bed on it.
With the correct wide bed.
Yeah, so it's got a bunch of neat stuff. It's a project we bought from a friend. We need the space. It's been mentioned before. We are at max capacity in all buildings. It's full up here. It's
close to maximum.
We could maybe fit one more downstairs, but it's pretty full.
Yeah, so with our recent acquisition, which was not planned whatsoever, the 32 two-door sedan, we're a little packed right now. So
and we're scheduled to buy another car in the spring.
A rolling project, yes. So we're looking to make a deal. I bought it from a buddy just to help him out. I didn't really want it, to be honest. I was trying to get him to finish it, but so we could make the room. Worst case, we might throw some more parts at it and then take it to Carlisle. Yep. Maybe bolt a drivetrain in it and a couple odds and ends and make it look a little better, and then take it out to Carlisle. So if you want a little more affordable of a price, now would be the time. If you're thinking about it, we would consider trade offers, but definitely not other vehicles. So if you have something
equipment
or maybe some really cool signs or something, I'm not against it. It's not necessarily the money aspect. It's more the space right now. We've
gotten a lot of vehicle trades, and there's just no room.
I don't want to trade a Model A for another Model A. I'm in the same position. I just do this Model A if that was the thing. So unless you have something very, very interesting, but at a price point of this, we're getting similar vehicles, which is not helpful. But hey, maybe you got a really kick-ass, big-ass porcelain sign, and I would love to.
I don't know where we'd hang it, but we'd find space.
Yeah, but it's easier to store.
That's a little easier to find space for.
That's a little easier to store. So
the only business thing I wanted to mention, our website, we do accept offers on all of our used parts. If you send us an offer and we either accept or deny it, the email might go to your junk mail. We've had a couple cases lately where people are like, why didn't anything get accepted? It does. You'll get a link in your email, which then allows you to check out at whatever offer you send. Mm-hmm. Just check your junk box, because we tested it thoroughly before we launched it, and everyone's email, it went to their correct email. Now they're going to people's junk mail. I don't know what. Yeah. So just check your junk mail. We're not ignoring you, I promise.
So I think that's the basics of it. We have we showed in some videos with the break in the weather, that one estate that's local. We've been clearing out that big trailer and building of stuff.
Yeah.
So you may notice, if you're following our eBay or a web store, we've been pretty aggressively getting new items up for sale. So if you are looking for something or you're looking for interesting stuff, keep an eye on the social media and also our website or eBay, because just a lot of the cool stuff is selling. I went through a pallet of, Mike and I, but mostly myself, went through a pallet of the Lincoln Continental parts that were left over from the Lincoln that we have here. And I kind of went through and just decided on what I was going to use for the car and what I wasn't. And we were putting that stuff. I was putting that stuff up at night, and then by the morning, or sometimes within an hour or two,
one dude bought like 20 items.
Yeah, he was on it. So he must have been watching our page. He was buying the stuff as soon as it was selling, and it was great. But if you were looking for Lincoln parts, they went so quick.
There's a few little things left, but majority are gone.
Yeah, or I set aside. So,
and we're just on the cusp of 2,000 items, which is pretty wild. Because probably this time last year, or in the winter time last year, we were just hitting 1,000 items and like kind of hovering around 1,000, and we've stepped it up to another, to 2,000. It's a lot.
Yeah. And what's the milestone you hit this week for orders on eBay?
So on eBay, we sold 1,000 items in 90 days, which is a lot.
I don't remember what I was doing on my own when you came on full time.
It was like probably 200-ish around there.
And that's how I sold Mike on working full time. I'm like, look at all this eBay sales I'm doing by myself.
Yeah.
And now he's built it up so far. So it's really cool to see
It's pretty crazy. It's all
you've done.
Yeah, it's a lot of boxes.
Yep. So,
and also, we are not Amazon. So if you buy something, we have a shipping and handling of 2 to 3 days, business days. So if you buy something on Friday, it's not going to ship till Monday or Tuesday. I had to answer like 7 eBay messages this week of like, why hasn't my item shipped? I'm like, well, you bought it like a day ago. This
business day. Yeah.
No, some of it was like, I bought it on Saturday. Why hasn't it shipped Monday morning? I don't know. It's 9 a.m. I just got in here. I didn't package your item yet.
So we fight. We'll always forever fight with that. But we have that going on. And then we have an estate in Minnesota that we closed a deal on back around Hershey. I closed a deal on that. And, we're set to go out there. So we're waiting for the weather to get better.
And a little bit of space. I'm trying to make a little bit of space.
That's another reason we're aggressively going through pallets, because we know that we're getting a big truckload. We're hoping to stop and visit some people. I also now have a bunch of stuff sitting at the Eastwood store in Chicago. And we have some other leads, smaller leads. We have one, we're talking to a lead that's in
Ohio, I think.
No, I think it was Detroit area that we may go look at some stuff. So we always try and make the most out of these trips. So of course, as always, we'll be documenting that. And that'll be kind of excited to get on a little road trip adventure.
Been a little bit. Trying to think of the last road trip. Probably New Hampshire was the last road trip we were on, and that was July or August.
Yeah, we kind of made a conscious effort with the new building going up. We weren't traveling as much because of everything going on. So, anyways, that's some stuff.
Yep,
it's going on. Today's podcast, and I apologize if you hear clicking around of a cough drop. This week, Steve and I were hit very hard with a Mike somehow got around it.
I dodged this bullet.
Yeah, but we had a very bad cold. I had no voice till
I shot all the talking bits Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of Wednesday.
Most of Wednesday.
Matt sounded horrible.
So I apologize if you hear that. I'm still getting over it, and I may have to stop and cough a couple of times, but that's just how it is. Or clear my throat. So today's video podcast is about, it's sort of relevant, the 39 Mercury that I've been working on all winter.
Funny enough, we were talking earlier about you convincing me to work. This is my first day of a IronTrap employee. I quit my job. My last day at my job was a Tuesday, and we went and got this car on a Wednesday.
And that's sort of been our, that's what we joke about. That's like our initiation for any new employee. Now, Steve's been the only other employee, but we took him on his first day, we took him to like an auction that was kind of local, but it was like, we kind of went to the auction just because we wanted to create the same effect. So first, we want it to be like best first day of work ever. So
we can't hype this up though. The next person we hire, we have to do something. It's like we're creating something we have to do.
I don't mind that. That's pretty cool.
It's true.
I mean, it's kind of fun.
Like,
so
you try and hire him, you're like, you got to wait like 3 months. We have this really cool thing coming up.
We could always find something interesting to do. So yeah, that was your first day. It just kind of worked out that way. It was to kind of set the stage or whatever for the story. This car came in at the same exact time I was negotiating a deal on all the 34s.
Oh, really? I couldn't remember.
It literally at the same time, because the 34s took like a year to finally make it happen, and this deal came in kind of as we were closing the deal on the 34s, and I remember being like, oh crap, how am I going to afford all this? Because the 34s was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then this car wasn't a lot of money, but it was another, batch of money.
You bought all the 34s it was like July 4th weekend, wasn't it? Beginning of July.
Yeah, yes, you're right, it was, because I remember Jason and I, when we went to Michigan, it was crazy amount of travelers or vacationers because of it being a holiday.
Yeah.
People on boats going up through to northern Michigan.
And then we got this car, which was like just the end of July, beginning of August. Like it was just
I think we went.
August 1st, maybe.
Yeah, and it was very short time period between, and I think I staggered the getting them mostly because I didn't have space.
Well, I still don't know how we fit all that stuff because there was
Well, I staged everything. I sold a bunch of the 34s for really affordable because I had no space.
yeah.
And I would say
Oh, the Merc also lived in the trailer for a long time.
you're
too.
right. It did. I forgot about that. Yeah, I had a friend, an old acquaintance, towed all the cars for the 34s for me, and he had a huge hauler, and he hauled
3 of them.
3 or 4 of them.
Oh, 3 cars, and then the Tudor body was turned sideways.
Yeah, and they were all filled with parts. He brought them home to his house, and he allowed them to sit on the trailer for 2-3 days or a whole weekend. And I brought the beautiful and the pickup cab back here, and our buddy Ben, who now are his friend and our friend Mike, ended up buying the pickup cab. So I had them pick that up like I got back on a Saturday. They picked it up Sunday, and I didn't have like any of those 34s really came to the house. I think I brought the Roadster to the house, and it was picked up like the next day by one of our customers that still has it. And
The 3-window was the same way too, right?
the 3-window I never brought here.
Oh, really?
That was the last one. So I went and got the 3-window, put it on my trailer, and took it right to Jerry.
Oh, okay.
I never even had it home. And then the Phaeton I took right to Ryan's place to store.
That's right, yeah.
And then I only brought the Phaeton back to the house when it was sold so that the transporter could get it. So the only one that really, it was beautiful, and that Roadster for like a day so the guy could come here. And then everything else kind of like left, and all the parts.
Went to the warehouse.
Yeah, they went to the warehouse. So it was pretty crazy. And then I made Mike take his car in pieces home right away.
Yeah, exactly. You actually delivered it to me.
Yeah,
Because it was all in the bed of your truck. You're like, I'll just bring it to you and drop it off.
Yeah, I had so much stuff. So the Mercury, the problem was, I'm like, this is a whole damn car, and it's decent.
Yeah.
What do I do with it? So that was kind of crazy. That was we were talking about that. Was that 2020 or that's 2021?
21, yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff coming in. So we got an email. This was kind of because of the Swamp Merc, basically. And we've always kind of talked about that between ourselves, that and we could give out the secret now, with how, I knew all this from kind of working for Eastwood and working
I'm pretty
in
sure
marketing.
we've talked about this multiple times.
So with Google, it's SEO, search engine optimization. So back when we started the channel, there wasn't a lot of people doing videos on early Fords and traditional hot rods and all that stuff. So I saw an opportunity that if we hit it really hard and we used a lot of the keywords and all that stuff, once you are like kind of the first ones and Google kind of recognizes your channel or website as an authority, you usually end up ranking pretty high. So if you search for 1932 Ford or any of the topics we cover, a lot of the times you don't even have to search IronTrap at all.
Yep.
Either one of our videos is going to pop up right at the top, or our website or a product that's on our website will pop right at the top. Us doing that very early on and hitting it really the same topic. Now, the average person Googles, so if you have
and also the Swamp Merc video getting over 1 million views also helps that be at the forefront because it's a very like highly viewed topic.
Yes.
So it moves it to the top of the
Google puts it right up to the top for.
Sorry, I was a hard time coming up with words there
That's
for a
it.
second.
Yeah, so like in the video results, our videos that have a lot of views will get popped right to the top. So that video did so well. And then obviously we did a handful of videos on that car. It just popped up. So this we got an email. This guy said he was just Googling about his 39 Mercury. He was thinking of getting rid of it, and our YouTube popped up. He watched our videos. He saw that we were really into them. Guy sent an email and said, "Hey, I saw you're really into these, and I saw you have a 39 Mercury. Would you know anyone that would want to buy my 39 Mercury?" And of course, it's like, not a ton of information. I said, "Oh, well, maybe, but I got one that's junky already, so I don't want another junky 39 Mercury. But I'd be interested in hearing more." So he sent an email and said, "Oh, it's a lot nicer than the one you showed in your videos, but it's not perfect." And then the whole process of getting photos took a little while. And basically he explained to us that he lives in Washington State, I think it was.
Oh, it was Colorado, maybe.
It was Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
It was either
right.
Washington or Oregon. And the car is in New Jersey. So we're like, great, that's good. And the story was that he moved to Washington or Oregon to go to college, and he loved it so much there he never moved home. Just goes home as a visit for holidays. So he basically said that he inherited this car from his grandfather, and I don't know, it had been quite a while.
I think he graduated in the 90s, so it's been sitting a long time.
And that was the last time it ran. He said he drove it to his prom in maybe the early 90s or something. And he said the last time he came home, they tried to get the engine to turn over or rock the car, and the wheels were stuck and the engine was stuck. He knew it was beyond his capabilities, and it had been all these years he never done anything with it, so he said he was going to sell it. So, great story. We're like, okay, I'm hooked. Send me some photos. So he sends us photos, and we're like, whoa, this thing looks pretty solid. I mean, it appears to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, we made a deal. We were going back and forth on pricing, and that's always the other hang up. Is it as good as they say it is? Okay, now is the price going to be something that's, more than we want to spend?
Especially when someone finds you on the internet, we always have that concern that they've been looking and they want, they see what a restored 39 Mercury goes for, and they want, I'll take slightly less than a perfect restored one. It's like, well, this one's not that.
Yeah. But so he got me some photos. I was hooked, and then we started talking, and luckily in this instance, he was super reasonable. He said, I see that decent ones go for X to X. This one's obviously not that, so let's just meet in the middle. And the price he told me was very affordable. And again, as an average person looking at it, as the car not running, not rolling, he probably favored it a little on the low side.
Mm-hmm.
But what I look at is it's a complete car. It's not missing. I'm looking at that Mercury, the Swamp Merc, and it's it was missing all the side trim, interior.
It's broken in half.
It's broken in half. I think I had already bought nice fenders for it from actually the estate they were cleaning out locally.
Front and rear fenders and a hood.
And I paid, I didn't steal them, but I paid up for them. I probably had $1,000 into all those panels. And I still had to do all the work, and I'm already starting to think, as I was buying those panels, to think through it all. I'm like, man, do I have it in me to do this car? And so he told me that price, and I'm like, it's a no-brainer. It's an affordable price. It has everything on it. The paint looks good in photos, and even if we get there and the paint's worse, at least I have a car that has an interior, all the trim, everything's there, and I could sell the other one and hopefully just pay back what I had into the fenders and the car itself, and and be done with it. So I agreed, and then it was like, well, we'd like you to pick it up soon.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, he had a title, which was nice, which we'll get into a little piece of that in a little bit. So it was like me trying to navigate, politely pushing him off, but not too far. So I was able to push him off, I think, 2 or 3 weeks from when we were getting all the 34 stuff. I was also hoping that I could get 2 or 3 weeks of selling stuff, because I pretty much, I blew 99% of my free cash to buy all the 34s. It was tight, and I needed to sell some stuff. So I was like, okay, well, if I line up selling a bunch of these cars, I can recoup some of my money and actually have a savings account again.
Yep.
And then I can have a little bit of money to buy this car because it's significantly cheaper than what all those cost. So we we lined it all up, and it just so happened that Mike's first day, I think I told the guy because of that, like, hey, we could do this day.
I think it was like I'm pretty sure it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday, just like a random weekday.
Yeah, and it was was it South Jersey?
No, it was North Jersey. It was near.
I remember it was like right on the bay, but I didn't remember
the town right now. It was up near like the Jersey Shore where that was filmed, like Sea Isle, or not?
Oh yeah,
Sea Isle.
I
remember it was right on the bay.
Yeah, the backyard of the property literally butted up against the bay,
and it was his grandfather's house, and then his parents bought it and moved in.
Yep.
So that's why the car never left the property, because his grandfather gave the house to his parents bought it, so the car just sat in the shed and just waited.
Yeah, sat in a little garage. So it
was a very nice neighborhood too.
Yeah, we didn't ahead of time look up like what. Sometimes I'll look up like Google Earth View to see what the property looks like or how to get into the driveway, and we do that a lot more now just to prepare yourself for what you're getting yourself into. So we just showed up and we start driving in the neighborhood, and the houses get nicer and nicer and better, and we're like, we're right on the bay. Like, holy crap, is this the right place?
Yeah.
When we get to the driveway, it's like a long, like cobblestone.
It wasn't. It was like
brick?
a paver. It was a paver driveway.
Paver, okay.
Yeah.
Long driveway, literally like one car wide, and we had to back the trailer all the way down it. The guy that was selling us the car said, "Oh, my dad will be there all day. You can, or dad or mom or whatever, no problem. You can, get there." So a lot of times when we do these estates, the family is quite helpful.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see the car go. They want to help because they're sentimental. Whatever the whole thing is, we usually get help. So we kind of were banking on that. Like, oh, if it's hard to get out, we'll have a third person, great. So we get there, and it's a super nice neighborhood. And the guy walks out. He's cordial, and he says, "Oh, okay, yep, it's right here, okay." And it's like an old style garage with the like wood doors that were kind of hard to get open. We had to kick and.
Was it a 1-car or a 2-car?
2-car.
That's right. Yeah.
A bunch of junk in the left bay, and we opened it up, and he was kind of like, "All right, see you guys later."
Yeah.
And he
to be fair, it was a work day, and I believe he was working from home.
I know, but a lot of times when we do these deals, the car, it's kind of especially being like, we were like, oh, it's like a third generation ownership.
We also found out it wasn't his dad's car; it was his wife's father's car. So he was just like, "Get that thing out of there."
Sometimes people are sentimental, though.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it would be. So he was just like, "All right, see you guys later." And he just went in the house, left the garage open, and literally we took like a good part of the day to dig it out and get it on the trailer. He never came out at all, other than me walking in to do the title in the very beginning. Like they handed me the title and stuff. That was it. So Mike and I were like, okay, well, how are we going to get this out?
Guess we'll dig this thing out of here. Also, they couldn't find the keys.
Oh yeah, that was the part we didn't know. We thought there was keys, and then we get there, and the guy's like, "I've searched everywhere. There used to be keys. We can't find them in the house. We can't find them in the garage, the barn."
Good luck, guys. See you. I'm going inside.
Oh, great. The steering wheel's locked.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. For everyone that doesn't, I get in arguments with people on Facebook and the internet all the time. Early Fords and Mercurys and Lincolns had locking steering columns. That video of us finding that car, if you go to the comment section, there's like 100 comments. They're like, the cars didn't have locking columns back
You guys
then.
are idiots.
Early Fords had locking steering columns. So if you don't have the key, the wheels, thankfully the wheels were locked straight.
Yes.
We've had some instances where the steering wheel's turned and the wheels are locked, and it's like, well, how, like the 39, remember we just took the 39 coupe, we took the pitman arm off, knocked the drag link off so you could turn it, but
we got smarter.
that one luckily the wheels were straight, because it's in and out of that garage was like insanely tight.
Well, yeah, there was like I guess for lack of a better, wasn't there a circle where they could drive around?
Yeah.
So it was kind of blocking that, so we couldn't get the car. We had to kind of get the car out and around the circle, paver circle, to get it going to where the trailer was, because we couldn't get the trailer straight to the.
Nope. And we were actually to pat ourselves on the back. We were smart and brought dollies.
That time, yes.
There's been multiple times we've went and got cars and we do not bring dollies.
Yeah, so we had to get the car out of this little garage, and we had the dollies, but we had to get it onto hard ground.
Oh, it's also a sand floor garage.
Yes.
So there's not like we could put dollies on it and roll it out. It was kind of buried from animals getting in and under the garage.
I think what saved the car rotting underneath, because it was sitting on sand, is they had like rugs.
Well, the sand will actually save it because the sand takes the moisture out of the air. So sand is like an absorbent. I was talking to this with someone at Allentown.
I never thought of that.
So say if it's a dirt floor garage, the dirt will have moisture in it. Sand takes all the moisture away. So that's why the bottom of that car is not rotted out.
I didn't think of that. All right. I learned something new.
I am not that smart. Someone else brought that up. So I will not take credit for being smart. Someone else schooled me on that.
But we there was like rugs and stuff underneath, but it was soft and kind of buried, so we had to get it out. So we drug it.
We used the pickup truck, tied just a tow rope to it, and just drug it up and out of the garage and onto the pavers, which also the pavers made it hard to move the car.
We were a little stressed because it was a very nice drive. Nothing had leaked or there was no junk cars getting drug across this. This was a nice house, nice neighborhood, and we were kind of like, but what could we do? And the guy wasn't there to
supervise.
So we just kind of drugged the damn thing out and got it out in the open. And then there's a photo we took of me standing next to it we just literally like drug it out, and I think we put the dollies on and got it cocked.
Yeah.
And then that way we could get the trailer hooked up.
Yeah, luckily we borrowed Jason's open trailer with a winch.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because I think the Swamp Merc that's when the Swamp Merc was stuck on your open trailer. It lived there for like a year and a half in the side yard.
My junky open trailer, the Merc was on that trailer.
For a long time.
Oh, I think I moved that because of the 34s coming. I drugged that back up on the trailer and towed the trailer into my yard and put it next to the building.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was getting all these cars in, and I didn't initially know I could stage them at the shippers.
Did you take that trailer out to Michigan? Did you take someone else's trailer out to Michigan?
I think Jason's.
Oh, okay.
There was a period of time where 2020 and 2021, I was using Jason's trailer.
You owned it just almost as much.
He was keeping it at his house, but I was driving. I think at the end, I ended up giving him like $1,000 or something, or $500 for just like maintenance on the trailer.
Wear and tear.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad we had a winch for that's like the biggest and heaviest car to try and come along up into a trailer.
And I think one of the wheels was dragging, maybe.
I'm pretty sure one of them was.
One or both of the rear wheels were dragging some on that when we were dragging it up on. So it was, but it was kind of, it was interesting. We didn't get a lot of history on the car, but what the guy had told me over the phone or through email was that his grandfather supposedly had bought it, I think, from the original owner, which was like a little old lady or something.
It came from New
York.
Yeah.
Because I think it may even, well, not now, but it had a New York inspection sticker, I think, on the window.
Because he bought it in, the 60s or 70s, I think?
I think it was in the 60s. I think it had like a 63 or something inspection sticker. And he bought it in maybe the 60s or maybe early 70s. Yeah. And obviously the car had been repainted. We don't know if the old lady had done it, or maybe his grandfather had done it when he bought it from her. But I guess his grandfather, that was like his. Mm-hmm. There was one other old car he had, they told us, that used to sit. Because remember, we found parts like a 30s Oldsmobile, or we found some stuff sitting on the shelf that he also had, which was long gone. But that Mercury was apparently like his jewel, his favorite old car for a long, long time. And I think he gifted it to the grandson because he showed interest in it and the whole, prom thing and all that stuff.
And the grandfather was taking care of the car. In the glove box, we found all kinds of receipts of exhaust, and I think the water pumps were replaced at some point. There was just piles of receipts of all the different replacement parts they put on the car over the years.
And you could tell that the car, I think, again, I never called the guy to get all these details, but my guess is when we got the car, it had all new brake lines, wheel cylinders, brake shoes.
Had new exhaust on it.
New exhaust, even though it was rusty from sitting. I think that probably what happened is that the grandson, when he did the prom thing, they probably it probably had been sitting for a while at that point, and then they did a bunch of work to get the car drivable. And it looks like they took it to a shop somewhere, but it was all new soft lines, hard lines, all that stuff. And then they probably drove it like one time. I think that the car was either overheating or the block was cracked, or I think it was overheating, and either the block was cracked or the head gasket, the head studs were seeping. Because when we dug into the engine later on back here, the couple of the cylinders were like full of rust. It's always a kind of a telltale sign.
You worked on that engine for way too long. You would not give up on that thing. You spent what, like weeks? You pressure washed the inside of the engine to get all the gunk and crap out of it.
Yeah, and that engine, I did not want to give up on it because the car looks so dang good. I'm like, no way, this thing could be that stuck. Well, I think either the block was cracked or maybe a combination. Also, the head studs were leaking and it leaked down into the cylinders.
Very similar to what happened to Pete's car.
Yes, so it was so bad I ended up just pulling the engine.
They actually lived at the warehouse until we moved out.
Yeah, I still held hope for it, but it was like everything was so seized on that thing from sitting, and
we still don't know if the block was cracked. So
right. So in the end,
bores were junk.
We had a pile of engines that were like that, where it's like it might be good, but it also could be cracked, and we just had to let it go. So that engine ended up going to the scrapyard in the sky, and is what it is. But we ended up using the engine from the Pittsburgh estate with all the 34s. Or all the 35.6 stuff. There was a 40 Ford engine that was redone. And that was like Steve's first flathead experience, was us getting that engine running and hopping it up.
I remember, so we got that car in August. I remember spending New Year's. That was also the first flathead engine I worked on. New Year's Eve, you, me, and Nick Terentian.
Oh.
He came over randomly on New Year's Eve, and we were in the garage during the day, and I helped you we swapped the cam for that Winfield cam. That was like the first flathead I actually put the valves in and set the valve lash, and we like spent the whole day working on it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
just random memory popped into my head.
And then Steve and I got it running, and there was a bunch of stuff that we've gotten better, more efficient at, like using parts that were unknown and then having issues, and a carburetor that's whatever, and and now that's why you see us now we have our run stand carburetor and intake and all that stuff, because we were having all kinds of problems with it. But after a little bit of a learning curve, we got everything going on it. But the car overall looked.
Yeah.
I mean, at that, now knowing how underneath all the shiny paint, it's a lot more rough, but it looked really good.
Dead the paint was on the passenger door.
Oh yeah, because there was a window.
Yeah.
There was only like 2 windows in the whole garage, and one of the windows was right in line with the passenger door.
Yeah, it was like gray when we drove the car.
Yeah.
Actually, you might be able to see. I'll have to put that photo here of you standing next to the car. You might be able to see that the paint's dead, because I'm pretty sure you were on the passenger side when we took that photo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I knew the paint would come up, but I was a little worried about that passenger door because it was so different in color.
Chalky. And we didn't find a ton of extra parts in that garage too. It was basically just that car and a few like replacement parts for it.
Yeah.
Like fuel pump and all the normal brake stuff.
What I couldn't believe is that car, when we opened the trunk, and it's still hard to believe, it had the original wood tool tray cover. And
I'm amazed of all the mice damage to that car that the tool tray was not destroyed.
What's weird is all the mouse damage was in the roof.
Yeah, and in the like where the rocker ends at the wheel well, there's that little bit there. But on any early Ford, the first place you look on a 37 to 40 is that tool tray area, because they're almost all rotted out or have been repaired at some point.
Yeah, so that had the original wood in there. There was still the original tool kit, the tire chains, all that stuff was in there. So that was obviously from when probably the little old lady had it, because the car was being driven as a normal car. And that was kind of crazy to find. I remember the glove box had a mouse nest. It was the whole glove box.
Yes, I do remember that.
Taking handfuls of mouse nesting crap out of it.
And you could tell how original that car was because you were able to get lock or keys made for the ignition, the door, and the glove box, and they had never been.
Yeah, they all
changed.
matched as they should. I think it's the ignition and the passenger door, because of course these cars only have a lock on the passenger door. Those should match, and then the glove box and the trunk should match, and everything matched. And that was my first time kind of understanding how nice it would be to have a key cutter by code. Because I found the guy on the Ford barn that does it, he's very helpful.
Very affordable as well.
Affordable. But it is a process. It's old school. You got to mail him a check or cash. Actually, I lie. He mails you the key. You try it, then you mail him the check or whatever. But it's a little bit of a process, and you got to wait, a week or two for the whole process. So I did that. It worked. I got the ignition to work, and then I think I later then sent away to get the glove box key.
Yeah, the only key you never got was the spare tire lock.
Spare tire lock, yeah, and we ended up just having to cut that off because he couldn't. There's no way to get to it without wrecking the wheel. So, we just cut that off. Luckily, I never needed a spare tire because the lock was on there. I drove it for 2-3 years.
Yeah,
and then we finally this winter started doing it, and I had to cut the lock, unfortunately, but. Yeah, I mean, once we got the engine swapped, everything else was pretty easy because the brakes, the wheel cylinders were dry. I think we just rebuilt the wheel cylinders. Mm-hmm. The shoes were all new. The drums were cut. So we just cleaned any surface rust, blew out the system, and I think we rebuilt the master cylinder and then just bled the brakes, and it was good. And the fuel lines were decent, all that stuff. The wiring was fragile. I do remember that.
That's a given for any early Ford.
But it did change my direction. When we got the Swamp Merc, my plan was to do a wild or full-blown custom.
Which that's the car you do that on because it was not so rough, but in so many pieces, it's the perfect car to slice and dice and turn into something wild.
Yeah, so I was going to section that car, raise the fenders, weld the fenders to the body.
I got to find the photo from one of the Hot Rod magazines that has a 3940 Merc with all the lines on it. Where to cut lines.
Yeah, it might be a 40 Ford in that photo, but either way, it's the same process.
It's chop, section, channel, all the right measurements to cut.
So I was planning to do all that. I don't know if I was gonna channel it. But I was planning on sectioning it, but taking it off the bottom because it was all rotten. Mm-hmm. And then I was going to move the fenders up, weld them to the body, and smooth it all out, and then chop the roof, and blah, blah, blah. I had this whole pipe dream. I got this car, and it's okay, well, this car's nice. I don't think I'd want to section and do all that stuff. So that's when I started kind of looking at a lot of the more early style Mercuries. And right when I got that Merc, the trend of it started getting really heavy when I got that Merc, or got the Swamp Merc. For 3940 Mercs, everybody was chopping them. It wasn't like I was early into the game of. I feel like years ago there definitely wasn't as many people doing those Mercuries.
Well, 49 and 51 Mercs were so heavy back then. So it goes in waves. They flip flop back and forth throughout. But
I think
time.
It'd been a while since you saw so many of them, and now it's everybody's chopping 3940 Mercs. I don't know if it's just because there's more shops doing it. There's more information about good ways to chop these cars because they're very difficult to chop. But I started just looking and saving every photo. Fortunately, there is a lot of really talented builders that share progress photos in social media. So Sledge is a good one. Mm-hmm. I was saving a lot of photos of when he was doing progress shots, just how he was cutting the car to help me understand how to chop the car. So a lot of people, when I chopped that car, were very surprised how I knew exactly how I cut it and how everything went, because I had studied everybody that was chopping one that shared progress photos and took little pieces of how I liked they did different things, and I was able to kind of.
When you put a plan together, it usually comes out pretty well.
It definitely helps to have a plan, especially when you haven't done something before. So, but I started looking at more mildly styled, elegant, I guess
Yeah.
is a better term. And that's the direction I was going to go with this car. And I made the decision early on that we were going to get it on the road, and I was just going to drive it for a little while so that I could enjoy it. I think at that point I didn't have any. Oh no, we had the Forgotten Hot Rod, but I didn't have any. I didn't have nearly as many big cars or cruisers, and this was my first like custom because the 39
Yeah.
Forgotten Hot Rod was more of a hot rod with how it was set up and everything. So that's why I decided to do it. I lowered the back just a little bit, but did the skirts, did all that stuff, and just cruised it that way for a while. And
That was your rainy day driver for
yeah,
a really long time.
and the nice thing about that car was, even though it was mouse nest infested, it was still the car when like friends were from out of town or somebody wanted to ride in the back. We could throw two people in the back, and
The front seat's like a couch. That
yeah,
thing's so I love riding in it because I'm very tall and large. It's easy for me to fit in.
and you could have your top hat
Yeah,
still.
exactly. No, not anymore.
Yeah, but that was a nice part with that car. I could take people in it. It was very mild. It was a car that ran good and nice and cool, so I could in the hot summer I could take it. I mean, a bunch of times I took it 1 or 2 years. I remember like Wheels of Time, taking it out to dinner and stuff, and
I'm excited to take that to Wheels of Time this year because it's way.
so much different.
Yeah.
I think last year I didn't bring it out to Wheels of Time because I was kind of
I
like
don't think so.
last year I didn't drive that thing as much because the allure had worn off.
And you also had the 38, which is now a
Custom.
different,
Yeah,
a different custom.
and it's way cooler.
Same thing happens with his hot rods. He'll get a new hot rod, and then all the other ones sit because he's like, "This is the new one. I must drive it every day."
Yeah. So the 38 was exciting to drive, and basically started with Wheels of Time. That was
Yeah.
the first time I took it outside of town. Was Wheels of Time when I drove it out. So now I've driven it a bunch, and I'm not nearly as concerned. But yeah, so the Mercury. I mean, I started taking it around and driving it, and kind of just figuring out what I wanted to do with it. I'm really glad I did it with that car because I was able to kind of really get an idea of what I wanted to keep, what I wanted to change, and
And we also worked all the bugs out of that thing.
yeah,
Because it just starts like it was in the shop for what 6 weeks with all the different cleaning the car out, getting it chopped.
Yeah.
And just like
it was over a month.
yeah,
with-
just put he took the shifter out of it because we were doing all that crazy stuff. Put the shifter in, and it just like started right up like it was nothing. It was nice to have a car in the shop that we didn't have to like do all this janky wiring and like squirt fuel in the car to get the fire up. You just like sat in it, fired up, and backed it right out of the garage like it's a normal car.
Yeah, so this was this was probably the first car that I made that conscious decision that I'm going to be keeping the car for a long time or forever. So I'm going to start with just getting it driving and reliable, and then I could do the customization stuff after it's reliable. Because the great thing is we're doing all this work this winter on it, and other than changing the rear out, everything mechanically is the same and lowering it a little more. But I know that the engine and trans are all the same, so it's going to start
And the wiring.
and the wiring. It's going to drive the headlights. All that stuff's all going to work the same as it had because we did all that, the turn signals, all that stuff. So we don't have to. Some of these other projects, we're shaking down everything. It's like not only shaking down, will the car make it home because of the new engine and all the stuff, but it's also like, what's that bang? What's that creak? What's that, oh, the turn signals don't work quite right because, we got to go back over the grounds. It's like, all that's done. So now it's just like visual stuff. So the interior and the chop and all that stuff. So it's made it easy also on Steve because like we did all that stuff in the back bumper and back end. So we shaved the taillights and the license plate and all that stuff. Steve it actually gave him an excuse because some of the wiring he hadn't fully replaced, he was able to then replace because he was doing the taillight stuff. So he ripped all that out from the front, back, put it in, but that was it. All the lights just worked. He wasn't figuring out grounds.
Yeah. It's funny, as I'm editing this video, I'll go back and look at the comments, but there was like, everyone thought that the 39 Merc was as like the pristine 39 that we could ever be found. And it's funny to now see it chopped and all the crazy damage we found, all the mouse. We knew there was mice stuff in the headliner, but like all the mouse damage in the rockers, and it's wild that from what you see on video to actually looking at a car closely is can be vastly different.
Yeah, even when we first got the car, I was like, oh, maybe the door was resprayed and a couple of the fenders. You could see some old repairs, or just the paint wasn't as good as. But I was like, I think the rest of the car is probably original paint. And then when we were digging into it, it's like, no, the whole car is definitely resprayed. Because as I'm stripping things, working on it, it's like you take the black off, primer, then you find more black, and then the original red oxide primer underneath of it. And it's like, okay, this is definitely, the whole car was redone.
Yeah, we kind of thought it was sprayed because they never took the welting off between the fenders. They just, in a couple spots, you look at the welting, you could see the black lacquer or black paint cracking off of it because they just like sprayed right on top of everything.
Yeah, it was, but we found out everything was done and wasn't done well.
Yeah.
So not a big deal, but yeah, we got a lot of. That was probably the first car that we got like a ton of kickback. Like, you're not going to modify that thing, are you?
Oh yeah, that was pretty bad.
And we were like, I was more scared, not scared, more reserved. I didn't poke the bear as much then. So like we were like, I don't know, we're going to figure it out, what we're going to do. I mean, day one when we bought that car, I was like, I'm going to chop this thing, just not yet.
Yeah.
So we were still getting stuff like that. And even, I'll think of it, even this past summer, I drove it to some local cruise-ins and local events, and I knew last summer I made the decision, like, this winter I'm going to chop it. And guys were talking to me, and they're like, oh, yeah, this thing's really nice, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bring in the shop this winter and correct the roof. You're not going to chop this thing's nice. No, you can't. And I'm like, yep.
My favorite thing ever is Grandpa Joe, our friend Joe that comes by, was a former hot rodder, but is now more of an original type guy.
Got old and grumpy and boring.
Like most old guys. Bitched and bitched and bitched about him chopping that Merc. And then he came in after the roof was done and flowed. And I'll never forget, he sat there and went, it looks pretty good. It looks a lot better.
He said that yesterday. He came in yesterday to bitch at us about the 32 two-door sedan. But he came in and he was like, I got to say, when you walk in the door, that thing does look pretty cool. It looks really nice when you walk in, and it just, everything's like, I'm like, I know. He's like, but I still can't believe you cut that car. I'm like, oh, my God.
He'll never let you live it down that you cut it, but at least there's that little feather in your cap that he says it looks better.
Yeah. So that was what a lot of it was. I've kind of learned that not everybody that comments on YouTube videos has the same taste or has the vision.
Yeah.
Is probably the word I'm looking for.
Because there were a lot of people in the comments that went, I was doubting of you chopping it, but it looks way better now. Mm-hmm. A ton of people.
Yeah, I think most people, even the guys that are still against it, they say, I still didn't like that you chopped the car, but it does look nice. So I guess that's the one thing that I will say I try and do versus maybe some other YouTube channels that are doing things to shock value and slap things together to make another video and not necessarily finish a car or in the best interest of the car, is I really plan out modifications to a car, really think it through. We don't even really show it on... We try to show in a video sometimes. Mike will leave a clip of like Steve and I or all three of us, kind of like, I bring them in and go, what do you guys think of this? Or what do you think of whatever? I do that like crazy. I mean, there's nights that I'll be in the house watching TV and I'll go outside and just, go in the shop and just stare at the car for an hour or two and like, or grab some taillights and move them around. Yeah. So like, I really think through all that stuff and research the stuff and look at all the old magazines and be like, this is how I want to do it or inspired by. And that's why.
And even when you say you do that, you still look at it before just doing it. Like,
yeah.
Like with the Merc, you were talking about doing those, I think they were Hudson taillights.
Yeah.
Before the car was chopped, you're like, I think I'm going to chop it, do these Hudson taillights. And then you brought Studebaker.
Yeah.
That's right. Brought the taillights down and just looked at it and went, nope, that's not right. We got to figure something else out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, especially in YouTube land, all these, there's a lot. That's the other thing. Since we started a YouTube channel, there's been a lot more channels started, and a lot of people are trying to get. There's the guys that have a shop and they're just documenting a little bit of what they're doing on customer work, and then there's the people that are doing a YouTube channel, and they're just trying to put out content because that's maybe their main source of income, and they're more worried about getting the video done or getting the car, further along, which I got in a bad habit of that with working for Eastwood. And
some of the first videos were like that.
There's a lot of work that I've done on earlier in the channel that I don't love or I'm not as proud of, or I had to go back and redo because I forced myself to speed up to get the video done. And this Mercury is the first time where we have enough stuff going on, doing the week in the life of and the podcast and different stuff that like I could slow down. And I said, like, I'm going to do the chop on this roof and that's it. And if our viewers complain that every video is the Mercury, I don't care because I want it to come out nice. I want to take my time. I had to cut a panel out and redo the panel because I didn't like it. Well, you know what? It's perfect now. I love it. It flows good. Yep. And I would have never been happy with it.
Yeah, people often complain about the week in the life of or some of these other videos that we do. We're doing that to help make our content better.
Yeah.
Our project content.
Yeah,
so it's like the Merc video, that's all Matt worked on for like 6 weeks.
This whole winter.
Yeah.
I've literally only worked on the Mercury. I've helped Steve a little bit with some stuff where he just needs a hand for a couple hours or whatever. But like, I've literally every day I come out and I go to Mercury and I'm like, today I'm going to do this.
And then it turns into a whole week of doing just that.
I think a couple weeks ago, I worked on that K.R. Wilson stand and machined some parts.
Yeah, that's right.
Just to give myself one day of not working on the Mercury.
Or you'll come out he'll get done a project on the Merc and be like, I'm going to come out and photograph some parts with you because I need a break. I need to like distract my brain.
Get tired of looking at it. Yeah. So that's the one thing is that I've been trying to slow down and these bigger projects and the overall view. So I think that's a big part of this Mercury. I'm trying to really think through all the modifications we do and make sure that I like everything.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I want everyone else to like it, but I want everything to flow and to look how I want. And I'm spending a lot of time to get stuff right so that I'm happy with it. So this is the first car we've done that, and I'm really happy because it seems like in the comments people are really enjoying the really intense technical videos of how we're doing stuff.
I was very surprised on how well the chop videos did.
Yeah, and I think we had a couple of people that commented that I definitely am going to try and do. But like one guy commented, please do this every winter, like focus on a project and because it's helping people get through the winter. But we've kind of been doing that.
We sat down and talked about it because last winter was the 38.
Yep.
And then the winter before that was... I can't remember which car it was, the winter before that.
I know the one winter was the DeLorean Roadster.
Yeah, and then the winter before that was the Schroll car.
Yeah, so we're pretty much most winters we've been like, there's one car that I focus on and do most of the work. Yep. But previously we were bouncing around a lot more, and I was coming back and forth between now where it's like I'm just going to focus on that. Also having Steve able to do a little bit of filming himself now, we can get some of his project stuff he's working on video. And so we did bounce around a little bit on projects, but I'm just on that. So I've always kind of done that. Like our winters, that's the way I get through winter. So when we get into fall, I start getting excited because I know I can go out in the shop every day and keep working on a major project. And that's the best part of having actual winter in our part of the country is everybody comes out the next year and either has a new car or they put a new engine in their car or they change their car that they drive.
Big modification.
And we all get to come out to the first couple events and it's like, what did you work on? And that's like every season. That's what we're all talking about. You go to Carlisle or if we only see somebody at a show at Wheels of Time, what are you working on? Oh, I just finished that custom I've been working on forever. I just got my hot rod on the road. And so for me, it's exciting because the Mercury this year, I'll be driving it like crazy because I want to get it out and let people see it and talk about it. And, it's exciting for me. So
it'll look vastly different. Are you going to drive that to Hershey this year, do you think?
No. I think we'll get kicked out of Hershey if I have that.
Oh, come on.
Even though it looks cool, I think I might get kicked out of Hershey. I think the Hershey Mobile is the stand delivery.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Good idea.
But I'm excited about that. But yeah, getting the Mercury was just a fluke
Yeah.
thing. I mean, and then and we always get questions. The Swamp Merc, I just put an ad on Facebook for $2,000 or 2,500. A guy from Virginia bought it that collects early Fords and Mercuries, and he just bought it just to buy it. I don't know if he was going to make yard out of it or whatever, but the only thing I do regret is I sold him 4 really nice fenders, and when I pulled that right rear fender off this Mercury, I was like, oh my God, I wish I had that other fender. I could have just like...
You had like 40 hours into fixing that fender.
Yep.
That was
Both those fenders combined, I have probably
Wow.
40 or
so
50
funny.
hours.
You're like, I'm just gonna shave the taillights and the gas filler. It'll be a real quick video. I walk in and I walked into the garage right after you finished SCTing off like a huge section of Bondo. There's like dust everywhere. I walk in, I'm like, what the hell's going on in here?
Turn around and walk out.
Yeah, just leave.
So, but yeah, that was the funny. That's just how it goes. So, I'm happy how it came out. I'm happy that I didn't do the Swamp Merc. I mean, it would have been cool, but I think the distraction, I think the Swamp Merc would still be sitting here like the Sweetheart Roadster because it was such a massive project that I think it would have just taken me so long. My skills have vastly improved since getting the Swamp Merc that it was good that I waited these years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To do, even in the time that I've had the one we have now, my skills have improved. I've slowed down with getting projects done and thinking through things that I think if I started on that other Merc, I would have been progressing, but I think it would have been like the CR Roadster is now, where a lot of stuff I wouldn't have been happy with and would have been going back and redoing.
Yeah,
so
probably next winter there's going to be a lot of redoing on the Sweetheart Roadster, or this summer.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just my skills have gotten better. I'm looking at stuff that I'm not happy with, and I'm going to have to redo some stuff probably. But that's just how it goes. I mean, that's the reality of it. We're trying to show, if anything, we're showing the reality of a lot of this stuff. And
Well, yeah, we're not faking the drama. We're just living it.
yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. So, but anyways, that's kind of our story time about the 39 Merc. A little backstory on it, how we got it, all that stuff. Hopefully we'll have it out this year and at some events, and people can check it out. It should be really cool. And, just going to keep progressing it. And
Yep.
Not
Any word
getting
on
rid
the
of it.
interior? Has he started working on it yet?
No, I got to call him and bother him. I'm working on the, I don't know when this is coming out, but
The windows will be later in the week.
so
This is coming out like in 2 days.
oh, wow. Okay, so I just finished up a little teaser. And it'll be in our Week in the Life of video that will come out before that. But I just made a custom stainless window frame to make the Merc a true hardtop.
For the quarter windows.
For the quarter windows, I got the first one done, figured out, hinging, working. And now I'm actually working on getting the regulator to bolt up in the stock location and all work. So that stuff's exciting because that's like, if you like technical content and nerdiness,
Yeah.
this is like in the ninth degree
Yeah,
because
definitely.
we're taking old parts that didn't fit this car, custom making parts, and then mating everything together to hopefully make it look like it's supposed to be factory. So it's really cool. I'm pretty proud of how this first one's coming together.
Definitely.
And I feel like it's the first time it's been done on a 3940 Merc.
Possibly. We couldn't find... I did a bunch of digging and couldn't find anyone that's ever done it before.
Yeah, we've seen people that have just not had windows in them.
Yeah.
But I think it's the first one I've seen that's definitely done the way I'm doing it, using the slightly later parts.
You took the easy way out.
Yeah, I took that. Yeah, that was our comment. Was the guy when he said out? Somebody in the comments said that me doing a hardtop, I was taking the easy way out.
I'm pretty sure he just thought you were going to not put windows in it.
We get lots of comments. We also got a comment when I first chopped the Merc on the first video. A guy said, I can tell that you have no idea what the F you're doing by the way you cut the roof. I wish you would watch the videos now. Chime back in if you watch the videos. Let me know if how I did.
Please tell us how you want to eat your words right now.
I didn't know what I was doing because I think the roof is one piece and it looks pretty decent, I think.
If YouTube didn't strike you down for just yelling at people on the internet, like, we would leave way worse replies than we do. We're usually pretty nice and just ignore them or just don't say anything.
if you enjoy that content, definitely follow our Facebook, because
Yes.
I do occasionally post our responses to some of these funny comments. And we do get people to respond back that really love either seeing us singling out these comments and posting them, or also seeing our response. We're not mean. We're just usually just.
When do you reply to them? Do you heart them?
Not always, but sometimes.
If you heart the comment, it puts it at the very top for people to see. So a lot of times, go to the comment section, because if we leave an asshole comment back to someone, we'll heart it so it shows up first for everyone to see.
Yeah, that's good. Good fun. We have to have fun with it. It's how
exactly.
YouTube is. There's people that have
Everyone
a vast
has
amount of opinions.
Yes.
And we don't really get offended. We just
laugh.
We just laugh at it, and that's how it goes. So, anyways, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll be doing an audio one next week, and we'll dive into something interesting in that. We appreciate you following along on the podcast. So drop us a comment down below. What do you think of how the Merc is coming out?
Please tell us how Matt ruined it.
Yeah, tell me you ruined it. So thanks, guys. We'll catch you later. See ya.